Happy Halloween from Lucy and Lucy. Meow. Happy Halloween, everybody. Yay. I'm Lucy. Just kidding. I'm Allison, and this year for Halloween I'm being Lucy. And my partner Eric is being Pharaoh. Pharaoh, come here. And then after Halloween, the costumes are not just gonna go in garbage piles. They're gonna be toys for Lucy. Get it, get it. Yeah. Resourcefulness at its best. Happy Halloween, everybody, and happy birthday to my roommate Joe, whose birthday is on Halloween. Happy birthday to my roommate Mariah, Marizzle, whose birthday is November 1st. And happy birthday to all of the super intense, intelligent, controlled, crazy Scorpios out there. I love you all. And happy fall back. It's the one day a year when all of our wishes for more hours in a day come true. What a glorious thing. I hope to spend my extra hours sleeping. Anyone else? Alrighty, kitty cat. Today we are talking about Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg. This video is a part of the series CPTSD Book Club on my channel, Proactive Resilience. And I think that this is one of the most important segments that will be a part of that series, and one of the most important books that I've ever read, and one of the most important books that I recommend everyone read, including you. The reason I think that this book is so important, not only for those of us recovering from interpersonal complex trauma, but society as a whole, everyone has a lot of trouble expressing their feelings and their needs, and then going about getting our needs met. Instead, we tend to express our feelings in a way that faults other people for making us feel those feelings, rather than realizing that those feelings are as a result of unmet needs within us. And therefore, by attacking another person, or by defending ourselves and our needs and our feelings, or by withdrawing and isolating ourselves, we actually roundabout go about making it more likely that our needs don't get met. When communication can do the opposite. Communication can be the key to us actually getting our needs met. That's why this book is so important. A couple personal disclaimers after reading this book are that I want you to remember that first things first, when connecting with another person or connecting with yourself, rather than putting these processes on a pedestal and saying, I need to observe concrete actions and then express my feelings and then my need and then make a request. Recognize that you are having an authentic connection with someone, soul to soul. First, we want to listen and connect with another person or with ourselves. Realize that we are a human being and just really embody life, okay, first and foremost, rather than, you know, like being so by the book. And second of all, I think that this is most useful in conflict resolution with yourself, when your inner dialogue is like, oh my god, I'm hating my life so much, and it's like, oh my god, but that's so mean because you're trying to take care of this and that, and like, I can't believe that you feel that way. And then, you know, like your inner dialogue is like tearing each other apart, where you're like mad at another person for like not doing exactly it is what you wanted them to do without you expressing it and them not knowing that that's what you wanted. You know, you just want them to be able to read your mind and do what you want them to do. Wow. I've got Lucy energy right now. This book is best for conflict resolution, for expressing ourselves in those situations. But in a lot of situations, I want you to remember your personality. So my personality can be a little bit feisty, it can be a little bit sarcastic, it can be a little bit tease, poke at people. You know, I think that's a way that I express love. And there's definitely a way to do that while also being considerate, much more considerate than I used to be, of other people's feelings and energies at the given time, and our relationship, like how deep it is, how well they understand my personality, all that, blah 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 blah. But remember who you are. Simba, remember who you are. Wow, cats are on the brain today. Before being so by the book yet again. But in conflict resolution, I do recommend being extremely by the book with people who are close to you, and even telling them you're being this way and talking this way because you want your guys' connection to deepen and you want to be happier in the relationship with each other and with yourself, be like, I want to be happy. Remember that. Okay, so, and that brings us into the book, okay? The intention of nonviolent communication is to create the quality of connection necessary for everyone's needs to be met. So I want you to really let that sink in. I know it's just like about 10 words and you're like, okay, yeah, but no, like stop, think. The point behind nonviolent communication, the intention of nonviolent communication is to create the quality of connection necessary for everyone's needs to get met. So think of one of the most important and conflictual relationships in your life. Think of a disagreement that happened between you guys recently. What were your needs in the situation, and what were the other person's needs in the situation? And in that time, however you guys communicated about the situation, did you guys end up deepening your guys' connection, or actually creating a rift and separating it a little bit? You know, not creating a better quality, but actually worsening the quality a little bit? Did anyone's needs get met? I hope that they did, but for those of you whose needs, I don't know, weren't met and you guys didn't improve the quality of connection, really, this book can help. Oh my gosh. So, yeah, that's the intention. Create the quality of connection necessary for everyone's needs to get met. That's the last time I'm going to say it. Okay, now let's move into the process of nonviolent communication. There are 4 steps, and it's very important to keep the intention in mind during each step and during each communication in general, every communication that you have. So the first step is to observe concrete actions. None of that, oh, they did this and I think it means this. You know, being mindful but also like intellectual and assuming. None of that, okay? Have concrete observations of another person. And to go deeper into this point, that excludes our interpretations, okay, of the observation that we see. So, interpretations of an observation can be implied through language that we use when expressing our concrete observations of what another person did or what we of ourselves did. For example, the word procrastinate has a negative connotation to it. Rather than saying, this person waited until the night before the big semester-long project was due to start and complete it. That is a concrete action. I'm going to look at my notes here and see if there's anything else that I want to add on this point. It's wrong to generalize that this person or ourselves always do this thing when we observe it one time. So when you are expressing your observation, avoid using words like you always wait till the last night to start and complete a project before it is due. Things of that nature. You never do X, Y, and Z. And also avoid using negative words in general. So rather than saying, when you come home, you don't give me a hug and you don't look me in the eye and have like a deep connection right away. Instead, use positive language and say, when you get home, you go right to your desk and you continue to work. Okay, so that was part 1, concrete observations. Part 2, express our feelings. This is something that society does not look very good upon. If people don't express their feelings at all, they're kind of antisocial and like sociopathic. If people express their feelings a lot, they're emotional. Okay? But everyone has feelings, okay? Feelings are natural. Darwin observed feelings as the cause behind our actions. Like, animals have feelings, people have feelings, and all of them are a result of needs that we have. So, you know, like a need is feeling safe and we feel threatened, we're gonna feel scared and then like act in a defensive way. You know, it's all very instinctual and primal and natural and okay. But society doesn't look well upon it and doesn't teach us how to do this very appropriately. But anyways, our feelings. We often care so much about what other people think that we lose touch with our own feelings. And often when we are asked how we feel, we say, I feel that, blah, blah, blah. I feel you did blah blah blah. I feel I don't know. Rather than I feel a feeling. Okay, and I'm going to share a list of nonviolent communication feelings in a link down below. Please check it out. It's very useful to get in touch with that list. And then also a list of needs that are the underlying need behind feelings. More on feelings. Gender roles and jobs suppress feelings. So if you're a guy, you're not necessarily supposed to have feelings. And if you're at work, you're not supposed to have feelings. You're supposed to keep your feelings at home. And we don't do a great job all the time of taking responsibility for our feelings. We say, I feel this way because you did this and this and this. And so a better practice is to say, I feel this because I have an unmet need of that. And I think that segues into our next segment, which is the third part of nonviolent communication, expressing our needs. So we don't have a language for expressing our needs. We have language for expressing wrongness when our needs aren't met. So instead of saying, I have a need for connection, we say, you don't connect with me. And that's just implying blame and fault on another person, rather than realizing that we have a need for connection and having compassion for ourselves, being like, oh my gosh, I feel lonely and disconnected and I really, really want connection. We put blame on another person. And when you think about it, that doesn't go about getting our needs met. That doesn't go about making them want to connect with us. That makes them feel bad and makes them want to withdraw, you know, and it probably makes them want comfort and connection too, but it doesn't make them feel like they can come to us for that comfort and connection because we just blamed them and shamed them. And this is just one example of how we go way out of our way to get our needs met. Instead of being like, okay, this person isn't connecting with me and I want connection, so I'm going to tell them that and ask for it. We go, I want connection, I'm not getting it, this person sucks because I want it from them, and they don't know that necessarily, but they should, and they're not giving it to me, and I'm gonna make them feel bad because they made me feel bad. And then at the end, I think that they're gonna feel so bad that they're gonna apologize, and like, actually our relationship is gonna improve because of this whole roundabout, ridiculous manner that it went in resolving getting my need met. Moving on to the fourth part of expressing ourselves with nonviolent communication. The fourth and final part of expressing ourselves. The first was observe, the second was express our feelings, the third express our needs, and now we're making requests that would enrich our lives and hopefully enrich everyone else's lives. So how we do this is by using clear, concrete, positive language. By clear, I mean take out all of those filler words. Instead of saying, why don't you just blah blah blah, because I think like meow meow because Mandy did blah 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 blah. Instead say, could you do this? Simple as that. Would you be willing to do this? That's even better. By concrete, I mean something observable with your own eyes or ears. So rather than saying, I want you to give me the freedom to be myself, which, what does that really mean? Say concretely, I want you to smile and say that anything I do is okay. Another example is, instead of saying, I want to feel loved, say, I want you to know what I want before I'm even aware of it. And then for you to always do that. That's what we really mean. And then we can go about having a conversation about that, because that's kind of difficult for another person to do. And so, in a way, this can kind of tell on us when we're being a bit unreasonable. And so also, when using this process, I want you to know that you're going to find yourself making like slip-ups or mistakes, speaking violently, you know, in old ways that you're not super comfortable with, and making requests of people or demands of people. We're gonna get there in just a second. And I don't want you to be too hard on yourself in the process. Use this nonviolent communication, sorry, I've got a hairball, I swear, with yourself, and give yourself compassion. Say you have a need for growth, and learning, and you're feeling frustrated because you wish that you were perfect, just request that you keep trying and request that you give yourself some grace and patience, perhaps. Okay, so anyway, back to making requests. The opposite of requests are demands. And you know when you're making a demand, when the other person isn't allowed to say no. The other person, when they hear a demand, they see two options: to either submit or to rebel. And when we're making a request of someone, we want them to want to say yes. And when they're saying no, we want to realize that they're saying no to meet a need of theirs. When you realize that you've made a request of someone, and if they don't meet your request with a yes, sounds good, instead they perhaps flat out say no, and you shame them, say, oh, thanks a lot, you know, or something like that, that's a demand, because you're not allowing them to say no. You're not like breathing, connecting with them, inquiring as to why they said no. Instead, you're doing the old automatic behavior in response to their saying no. So even if you did this whole process of observing concrete actions and then expressing your feelings, expressing your needs, expressing a request, if they're saying no and you respond in an old automatic response way, you're not doing the whole process of nonviolent communication. The intention is to create a good quality of connection and get everyone's needs met. And that does not only consist of you. So we're going to move into the next part of nonviolent communication, which is receiving empathetically how another person responds to our nonviolent communication and expression. Whatever it is that they respond with, whether it be silence, rudeness, defensiveness, withdrawing, or nonviolent communication in return, we have to first listen and connect with them empathetically, try to understand where they're coming from. And I want to slip in a little point here: the more that we hear them, the more likely it is that they hear us. And another point that I want to slip in is that if you're trying to use this communication with a narcissist, it's probably not going to work so well. And so I say use as little communication as possible with people who prove unwilling to communicate nonviolently with you and respect that you have needs, and instead relocate that energy elsewhere into healthy relationships, and really go out of your way to create new healthy relationships, because you deserve them and they're out there. Everyone out there could use another friend, okay? I'm telling you. Okay, so that little side note over. Whatever it is that a person responds to you with, look for their underlying needs and their feelings and what their observations are and what their requests are of you. Look for their nonviolent communication within whatever message that they send to you. And the next step in a lot of situations is to reflect back what you heard to them. And this is really important because oftentimes what other people hear from us isn't accurate, and what we hear from them isn't accurate. And so reflection can be a great way to clarify and be like, okay, this is what I'm hearing that you heard me say and that you're feeling and needing and asking of me in response. Is that correct? And they'll be like, yeah, or they'll be like, no. Actually, I feel this way and I need this. And then once you guys do come to common ground on what each other needs, it is almost ridiculously simple what the route forward is in most scenarios. Like, I want to give a personal example here, okay? So if you guys couldn't guess, I love talking about my feelings and my needs and my inner experience. And interestingly enough, my partner Eric, we're like opposites attract sort of deal. He is not so much about talking about feelings and needs and things. He's like a businessman. He's a very sensitive person, very loving and authentic, and he's a really good person. But one of his biggest needs is joy. And I think in a lot of ways, me talking about my feelings and needs and focusing on what's lacking rather than what's there is in a way counterintuitive and like counteracting what his need is, which is to live like happily. And so the other day I was upset because I thought that something that he did, I assumed that something that he did signaled that he wanted to like kind of close off and, you know, wrap up his day. And I, on the other hand, wanted us to connect for a little bit at the end of the day after spending a whole day apart from each other. And so I got kind of upset and frustrated, and I tried telling him why I was upset and using nonviolent communication, and he's like, why are you trying to like guide me through this forced conversation? Like, can we just not? And I'm like, no, we have to. Like, I have a need to talk through these things and to connect. And that's kind of a demand, but I don't know, that's how I said it, and I could have been more perfect, but I'm just being real with you guys. I was like, I could have been like, I hear you, but my need is blah blah blah, like that's why I want to. I don't know, I was just answering the question. Anyways, at the end of it all, I realized that if I hadn't assumed that what he was doing was signaling some assumption in my head that meant that my need would go unmet, I could have just moved forward meeting my need, you know, of connection, like really simply, and none of it would have been necessary in the first place. And his need of not having a conflict and just having like a joyful, nice connection and life could have been met too. So now moving forward, I'm less assuming when I'm feeling needy. I notice that when I'm feeling needy, I'm much more prone to negative emotions and feelings, and then like wanting to talk it out, when in general I could just like realize that I'm having a need and catch myself in the act before I start assuming things of other people and going down this negative spiral. So right, the needs of both of ours are now being met more. I think we have been doing well since then, and yeah. I want to say, when he got upset that I was forcing him through a conversation, walking him through a conversation, he had a need to be recognized for his ability to have a conversation without being walked through it, you know, and that was being challenged, and so he was frustrated, and that was his feeling. And I think he was requesting that we have a natural conversation or no conversation about this at all, because he wanted to just enjoy life, you know, after having observed that I was trying to walk us through this conversation that he didn't think was necessary. So that's like pulling from his message. And oftentimes when you say something, like you observe concrete action, you express your feelings, you express your needs, your request may be that the other person reflect back to you what they heard you say, because you want to make sure that they understood you. And so if you make a request of someone to, like, did you understand what I said? Could you tell me what it is that you heard me say? They may be like, no, because they have a need to be recognized as having the ability to understand people and what they say, and they feel frustrated because of that. After observing you, ask them to repeat back to you what it is that they heard. You know what I'm saying? So if people challenge nonviolent communication, recognize that it comes from a need. And if they challenge you in general at any time, recognize that they have a need that's not being met. And if you challenge yourself, recognize that you have a need that's not being met. And I really implore you to explore your needs and recognize how they are the root behind everything that you feel and everything that you do and everything that you perceive and how you perceive it and your capacity of perceiving it. Once again, I want to share that my notes from this book are on my website, linked down below, as well as a list of feelings and needs and just so much value. I really tried to share a lot of important stuff there, and it's only like a 10-minute read. And I recommend that you save these notes somewhere for future reference, somewhere that you can easily refer to, because they're really, really good and useful. So, man, there's so much more that I could say, but oh, I guess I'll just skip her up to the chapter on anger. And then I want you to go to my website to read the rest, or check out Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication book yourself, The Language of Life. He grew up in Detroit, like me. Metro Detroit. He probably grew up more in like Detroit. But anyways, irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Anger. The cause of anger lies in our thinking, in thoughts of blame and judgment. Marshall Rosenberg. So, the first step of expressing anger nonviolently is divorcing the other person of any responsibility for our anger. We are never angry because of what other people say or do. Rather, the cause of anger lies in our thinking, in thoughts of blame and judgment. The first step is to divorce the other person of any responsibility. They are not at fault for our anger. They are not to blame. They did not do anything to cause our anger. The cause of our anger is in our thinking of blaming them and judging them, and really, it's a result of us having a need that's not being met. I'm going to drive this point home by giving you guys an example of a stimulus, something that someone else did, and 3 different responses to that stimulus, to show you guys that it is not the other person and what the other person does that causes our anger, but rather what we have inside that causes our anger. Okay, so example is, we have an appointment with someone and they are late. Response number 1 is we feel hurt because we have a need for reassurance that they care about us. Response number 2, we feel frustrated because we need our time to be spent purposefully and constructively. And response number 3 is we feel grateful because we have a need for some quiet, alone time. Choose to shine the light of consciousness on your needs, your feelings, and your abilities to meet your needs, and take responsibility for them. Choose to shine the light of consciousness on other people's needs and their feelings and your ability to possibly help them meet their needs, rather than choose to shine the light of consciousness on the wrongness of everyone and on ourselves. Choose to see our anger as a wake-up call, showing us that we have a need that's not being met, and it's causing this anger, and therefore it's worth doing something about. We should do something about it. We should meet that need. We deserve it. And choose to communicate with life and express yourself in a way that enriches your life and enriches the world around you. Because we have a choice. We have power. And we can use our power to either make the world a worse place or make the world a brighter place. I think you know which way you want to use it, okay? And I believe in you being able to do that. So again, be patient with yourself. Breathe and think before you respond. And respond intentionally. Act intentionally. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it there for today. And just say thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your day with me, your time, your life. I'm gonna get emotional for absolutely no reason at all, but I've just been getting some of the nicest communications from you guys recently, and just all the time in general. I've gotten so many nice words. I'm losing my words today. I don't know. I think I want to just meow. But I get such nice feedback from you guys and love. I get so much love and I appreciate it so much. Even from people who don't comment, I can just feel it. I feel appreciation, and it's a need of mine, you know, to feel appreciated. I think it's a need of everybody. I think that's why I'm like feeling like I could cry right now. I appreciate you too. So I feel appreciated, and I appreciate you so much. So I just want to express that today. Thank you. And now, before signing off, I want to share that me and my roommate Marizzle, happy birthday again Marizzle, are on this knitting kick. She crocheted a hat for my bunny. She crocheted this little kitty bed house for Lucy and Pharaoh. They climb up in there and ooh, it's soft. And my knitting, check this out. I am just going crazy knitting. Look at this. Oh my gosh, guys, I wish you could feel it. Oh, it feels so good. It feels so fuzzy. It's so fuzzy. Okay. And now I'm on to a new knitting adventure. It's this really pretty yarn. This is for my friend. And this is what I've got going so far. Yay! I can't wait for it to change colors and get all woo-hoo. And I'll probably show it to you next week because I guess that's what I do now at the end of my videos, is I show you guys what I've been knitting. Okay, so I'm gonna pretend like I'm Pharaoh for a second. Nope. Eric's gotta do the Pharaoh thing. I'm gonna get Lucy. Come here, Lucy. I'm sorry to move you off your perch. Oh, come on. Okay. Lucy and Lucy are out. Happy Halloween once again. We love you so much. And we'll talk to you soon. Meow. Meow.